Hello everyone and welcome back to the beginner lecture series. In this episode we're going to be talking about opening moves and different opening ideas to play on the open sides. So for starters, in our last video we talked about corner, side, center, and the third and fourth lines. In this case we're going to expand upon that a little bit. So now we've played in the open corners, but now we need the open sides. So what should we play next? Well, usually we play on the most open side. The way to find that is actually to count the lines in between the stones. So on the top side, it's the most open side because it's the widest. We can prove that by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And on all the other sides, it's 11. This means the top side is the biggest side to play on. However, this is not a rule or something that is required every single time. Rather, it's just a recommendation, and I want to emphasize this point, because at the higher levels there will be exceptions and there will be other different scenarios where other sides that are not quite as wide will become bigger or will be played rather than the most open side. So please note, while these are recommendations, other options are possible. So for now, we're going to focus on playing on the top side. Now we know what side to play on, and we know that we should probably be on the third and fourth line from the edge on the top side. But where do we play? Where's our specific move? Well, some general ideas are actually corner enclosures, extensions, and approach moves. What these are is simple moves that will give you a very good position on that specific side. So an enclosure is a move like this, where you bring the fourth line down to the third line and secure this corner, normally with a knight's move. This move is a knight's move because, as in chess, it moves 1, 2, and then 1 to the side. So it makes a similar shape to the knight's move in chess. So we can call this move a knight's move. A knight's move is a very common shape for securing a position or securing a corner and developing a corner. A large knight's move, or one space further, is also possible for this corner. Both of these are options for securing a corner. While this one does get a couple more points of territory, it should be noted that there is some more weakness, or aji, in the corner. Aji is a term weakness. So if you hear me say aji, I'm referring to the weakness in this local position. So there is some aji in this position, but it is more valuable. If you want security, then you should play this move. This is an enclosure, and it encloses the corner and gets all the corner territory, and so now all the invasions will die. An extension is actually going as far as possible to extend your position. In this case, it's here. An extension is jumping over 5 spaces. So first, let's look at the 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, black has jumped over 5 spaces. And we chose the third line because white is on this side of the board. If we go to the fourth line, perhaps white can play here and push under our position and force us to go back down. And now we have a little bit of an inefficiency because we've played stone on the third line, and when white played here, we moved up. Normally, we would want to jump. Again, this is only a recommendation. So, fourth line's for developing, but when there's a white stone, normally you would want to be on the third line. However, if we looked at the left side, if we had to choose an extension for white between the third and fourth line, we would choose the fourth line because white has support on both sides. So now we know why you would choose the third line or why you would choose the fourth line. But why are we jumping 5 spaces? That has to do with an invasion for white. So a 5-space extension is the perfect extension for black to extend as far as he can while making it difficult for your opponent to invade. So let's say white came in. Now, if we want to block our position in the corner, and white wants to expand and make a base, and we can talk more about this later, white can only play a 1-space jump. If we extend further, and white comes in, and we block, white can play a 2-space jump. A 2-space jump for an invasion is very good for making eyes, which we can talk more about later again, for living, for expanding your space, and for making a living group on your opponent's side of the board very quickly. So two space extension is good for your opponent if they're on your side. Let's repeat that a little bit so that way you understand. A two space extension is good for making a base, making life, and living on your opponent's side of the board. So allowing our opponent this two space extension is a little too soft. But remember, there are reasons we may justify this position at future events or future positions. So please note, again, this is only a recommendation. So a five space extension, when our opponent comes in, is kind of like it's already pincering. Pincering means to attack from both sides. So I have a stone on this side and a stone on this side, and white can't make a two space extension either way. Therefore, this stone is under a lot of pressure and becomes difficult for your opponent to come in. Not impossible, just difficult. So a five space extension is a good extension for expanding your position as far as possible. The last idea is an approach move. An approach move is basically approaching your opponent's corner in order to stop their development and also expand your position. This is one of the most common moves. However, there are a lot of variations called joseki, which we will learn in future videos. So, an approach move can become very complicated, but it also can become very powerful and expand as far as possible along the side while developing your position and stopping white's development. So, once again, an approach move approaches your opponent's corner. Now, it is important to note that you don't approach here. This is because when white responds, black has only 3 liberties. And here, white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 liberties. When you're playing so close to your opponent, it's kind of like touching your opponent's stone. In a touching fight, whoever was there first, whoever started there first, will have the advantage in liberties. This means they will have an advantage in any type of fight in this specific area. That is because with more liberties, it's very easy to pull off more attack and defense strategies. For example, when we play here, well, now it's white's turn. We both have the same liberties, so white will have the advantage to start surrounding black. If it was black's turn, black would have the advantage to start surrounding white. Therefore, whoever plays in this area first in a touching fight will have the advantage. And since white was here first, white will have the advantage in this fight. So normally you approach from one space away. It's a little bit safer, and it gives you more room to breathe and more room to gain liberties and make shape. Therefore, one space away is the common approach. Third line or fourth line are common ways to approach. However, against a star point, it is recommended to play the third line because the fourth line is rarely seen. Alright, so once again, let's review. The most open side is usually the side we want to play on, and we have usually 3 options on the most open side: an enclosure, an extension, or an approach. Some common follow-ups you might see is white defending his corner. I play my extension as well as expanding from this stone to make a very fast-paced position. However, it's also loose and invadable, but I'm developing very quickly. Now, the most open side is the right side or the bottom side. So here, white plays an approach, black plays, white jumps back, black, white. Now you can see an opening has already arisen from all these moves. All we did was play simple extensions, expansions, and approach moves. The only move that is not really an extension is the right side Q10. This move was kind of an extension from the top right corner, however, not quite from the R6 stone. So I want to emphasize the reason I played this, even though it looked like I was following this move, I was actually expanding the top right corner. And I played fourth line because third line wants to go up to the fourth line and then back to the third line. You may also choose a move over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This move, maybe it's possible. Who knows? You can try many things and have many ideas in the opening. The opening is very free, and many possibilities may arise in the opening. So feel free to experiment. Just try to have some justifiable reason for playing every move that you play. But remember, third line and fourth line is the most common in the opening, and corner enclosures, extensions, and approach moves are also most common. They're the most common because they're the easiest to use, some of the most efficient moves, and some of the most secured variations or follow-up moves will arise from these positions. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you will have some idea of how to play in the opening in future games. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.